Here we go. Welcome to Into the Dugout. I'm Trevor Rogers, joined by Bobby Rose. Today on In the Dugout, we got a little bit of Ryan Braun scandal, college baseball, and some more high school topics. Bob, you ready to go in the dugout?
I think it's time to play ball, Trevor. Welcome back, everyone. It's time to get started. DJ, what do we have up first today?
First today, it looks like we are going to be discussing, can Oklahoma or Oklahoma State win the Big 12 this year and finish ahead of Texas A&M or Texas?
I think I'll take this one first. No, absolutely no way. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State have both looked
lackluster.
I guess the word would be bad so far. Oklahoma loses 2 of 3 to Pepperdine to open the season. Then they go out last night, lose to Texas Arlington, get blown out at home by Texas Arlington. Oklahoma State doesn't have many marquee wins, a bunch of bad losses. Both teams' pitching staffs just not doing very well at all.
Right.
I mean, and that's probably the key.
I said from the beginning of the year, a couple weeks ago, I said that this was going to be a rebuilding year for the Oklahoma Sooners, and I'm still sticking to it. Their performance, I thought they came out strong against Pepperdine, but giving up 10 runs the next day and losing 10-0 is something that absolutely cannot happen for the Sooners. They had a good series against Hartford last weekend, and even then on Sunday, they still had to come back and beat a really bad Hartford team.
Right, yeah.
And then losing to UT Arlington, which has already dropped off Texas this year. So UT Arlington's got a quality win there. That's still something, if you're the Oklahoma Sooners, you shouldn't have. No, there's no way they finish ahead of A&M and Texas.
I completely agree with you. Obviously, you got to remember they lost a lot from last year, but if you look, if they can start playing together, playing a little bit better defensively, obviously you got to get your pitching rotation back. You can't give up 10 runs to Texas Arlington or Pepperdine if you want to have any chance of beating Texas or Texas A&M, both top 25 teams according to Baseball America. But then you look at Oklahoma State. They've only given up less than 3 runs 4 times so far this year. And I mean, that's just unacceptable with their schedule. Their schedule has been nothing short of pathetic so far. They have no marquee teams on the schedule. I mean, you can say the same thing about Oklahoma, but they have one more loss. They got swept by Cal Poly, and then they lose to Missouri, and then they lose to Missouri State.
That's
unacceptable.
No.
Unacceptable.
OSU's got a lot of problems, and in order for them to get what they need to do going, they got to start putting bats on the ball. They're not hitting very well. Their pitching is atrocious.
It's horrible.
You said they've only given up
less than 3 runs
games,
4 times.
That's unacceptable in college baseball. I mean, you see a lot of high scoring games in baseball, but at this level, you got to be able to compete. And OSU's they're losing by 4 or 5 runs on average when they drop one,
and only winning by 1 or 2 every time they win a game.
Right. Well, enough with that. DJ, what do we got next?
Next up, we have pick your early season College World Series teams.
Trevor, I'm going to let you go first on this one and then tell you why you're wrong on something.
I want to go, and I just want to go with a few of the favorites first. I got Florida, my #1 team in the country by far.
Yes, I have them picked as well.
There's no reason why they shouldn't win it all this year. South Carolina, they've won it back-to-back. They've continued to show strides. They're still in the top 10 this year.
They still have Jackie Bradley Jr.
South Carolina is going to be very, very tough team to beat. Stanford, obviously a favorite out of the Pac-12. Texas, who has already dropped a couple, including one at Stanford, and then dropped to, like I said, UT Arlington. But I still think that their pitching staff at the end of the year will get them where they need to be, and that's just how Texas wins. Texas A&M, arguably the favorite to win the Big 12. They
deserves to be as well.
Yeah, they should be there. Miami, and then a couple of surprises I have. I have Cal State Fullerton off of the West Coast. and I have Virginia, who Virginia only missed the College World Series a couple years ago after losing to Oklahoma,
and
wound up
Wren
making it last year until they lost in an elimination game to South Carolina, who wound up winning on the game. Went 14 innings, if you guys remember.
That was fantastic.
It was a fantastic game. I thought that Virginia would win the national championship last year, and they returned a lot from on that roster last year.
Right. I agree with a lot of your teams. Some I disagree with. I do agree with Florida and Stanford, A&M, Miami. I've all picked all of those teams to go as well. A&M I have picked because they don't play a game away from College Station until March 20th. And against a pretty lackluster schedule, might not lose another game until then. They'll probably drop 2 or 3, but they could go undefeated until March 20th when they leave.
They should.
They should.
For their schedule, yeah.
Right. They play a series against Michigan State coming up this weekend. Then I have a couple other teams picked. I picked Rice, a traditional baseball power, obviously.
Rice hasn't been there in a couple of years.
They're due. They're due to make it back to Omaha. Then you go look at teams like UNC. They've been there about 5 or 6 straight years.
Yeah, North Carolina.
Until they don't make it, I believe they're going to go.
North Carolina's kind of that team that everyone always forgets about, and they won it. They won it a couple of years ago.
No, they have never won it.
Oh, they didn't. They never won it. That's right.
They have never won it.
Yeah, that's thanks to Oregon State.
The Beaver Believers.
The Beaver Nation. Yes.
I'm still hurting over those losses.
Yes.
Oh man.
Then of course I have picked Florida State. They have been on the verge every single year lately. A few years ago with Buster Posey, they obviously made it and then went 2 in barbecue in the tournament. But Florida State is always very talented, and they are again this year, obviously. And then I have a surprise team. There always seems to be that 3 or 4 seed that makes the tournament. And if you look back to Fresno State, they actually won it. I'm going to go with the Anteaters of UC Irvine. They've got a proven coach, a very good lineup, pretty solid pitching. Look for Eater Nation to be back in the College World Series this year.
They've done it before. It's safe to say, though, the ACC, and the SEC, that part of the country could be the ones to beat right now.
Although I think the Big 12 is always good in baseball. You can't overlook them. DJ, what do we have up next?
Before we move on, I'd like to say, Bobby, you are straight on point with the North Carolina. They deserve to get the recognition that you gave them. And also UC Irvine. Very, very well put.
The Anteaters.
The Eater Nation.
Moving on, DJ.
Moving on. Who are your preseason picks to make the MLB playoffs and the World Series champion?
I'm going to go ahead and hit this one first.
Go ahead.
It's tough to say before spring training even starts where a team's going to line up. But looking at how wild the offseason was, I'm going to have to look at I'm going to look at the American League, and I'm going to say, out of the West, you got the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Completely agree with you there.
The Central, the Detroit Tigers picking up Prince Fielders, huge. The East, my Boston Red Sox.
Here's where we disagree.
I think. Hold on. I think Valentine is going to have it. I think he's going to have an interesting
I think he's
year.
More smoke than fire.
He said it himself that he has never coached a team this talented, and Tito, my man, Francona, he said that he thinks that
Francona should never have been fired.
Should have never been fired.
Okay.
He thinks that the alcohol policy, alcohol ban may backfire on the Red Sox. I don't know. That's unproven. I still think they're very talented, and I think they will have enough to make it there. My wild card, I've got the New York Yankees. I wanted to say the Tampa Bay Rays, and part of me believes that the Tampa Bay Rays
are just too
have
talented.
a shot. I think the Yankees are old, so I'm going to say the Yankees with a grain of salt. Now, my other wild card, because they've added 2. They added one more.
Right,
There's
added
two
There's two wild cards now, yes.
I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers. And everyone looks at, how the Angels played last year toward the end of the year, and that was the pre-Albert Pujols
Right,
era.
they get signed the best player in baseball. Then they get a very good second starter in C.J. Wilson as well.
Right, so...
I agree. The Angels will probably win the AL West. I'd have that picked as well. I think Texas didn't do enough in the offseason. They paid $100 million to Yu Darvish, who's never even proved himself in the major leagues. We don't know what he's going to be.
He should be the second man in the rotation.
Right, exactly. I have... mine looks pretty similar to yours. I have the Tigers winning the Central, but I have the Yankees winning the AL East. You can never look past the Yankees. They've won the AL East so many times.
They're too old.
I don't know, man. Until the Yankees don't win the AL East, consistently. They're always my favorite to win the AL East.
DJ, back me up. Can you win the AL East if you're on your way to the retirement home?
That's a good question. We will find out this year.
Yes.
As you mentioned, they are old. I'm sorry, Bobby. Go ahead.
Obviously, my two wild card teams are the Bo Sox and the Rangers. I don't think the Rangers are going to make it to the World Series again this year. There's too many other talented teams in the league. My AL champion is going to be the Detroit Tigers.
That's a safe bet. That's a safe pick. Their rotation with Verlander, you got a chance to win with someone like
Here in the NL is where you and I disagree completely. My NL West winner is going to be the Giants, the San Francisco Giants.
No way.
Wow.
Yes, I think they will. It's either going to be the Giants or the Dodgers, is what I would say.
The Dodgers?
I think they're going to get everything figured out once the ownership situation is figured out, and it's going to be. It could be a good year for them. Then I take the Phillies out of the East because, I mean, God, they're just so talented, just top to bottom. They've got three guys who could be an ace on any staff. I mean, and then their lineup is just incredible. Then in the Central, you got the Brewers. They lost Prince Fielder, but they still have Ryan Braun, who's not going to be serving that suspension. We'll talk about that a little bit later, obviously. Then my wild cards in the NL are going to be the Cardinals and the Braves.
Okay, well, I'm going to completely disagree. I'm going to say out of the West, it's going to be the Arizona Diamondbacks, led by Mr. Justin Upton. I think the Diamondbacks put together a heck of a season last year.
Well, they should have won the division, but they flamed out late.
They did. They flamed out late. I think personally the NL West is still weak. I think the Dodgers.
Oh, it's very weak.
I think the Dodgers have got a little ways to go. I think it just depends on who the ownership is, and until we get that figured out, you don't know how the general management is going to be run in that organization, and you don't know how players are going to react to a new owner and new rules that are going to be coming into that clubhouse. I think Matt Kemp will be obviously a leader again for the Dodgers, and I think he should. He's going to be my favorite to win the MVP. I just don't think the Dodgers are going to do it yet. I think they're a couple of years away. The Central, I've got the Brewers. I completely agree. Even they'll have Ryan Braun back, scandal aside, and he's obviously going to come out guns a-blazing.
Right.
My East winner, I'm going to have the Atlanta Braves. I think the Braves are way too talented. I think they flamed out last year, but they flamed out they were injury prone all of September, and DJ can attest to that. They were hurt.
September, we lost Jurgens and Hansen.
Yeah.
We couldn't recover after that.
You can't recover.
Right. No, I completely agree, but the Phillies are just...
I think the Phillies are
loaded.
I think the Phillies, I think they're going to... I think the Braves are going to play so well this year. I think that division is so tough, but I think the Phillies will be a close wild card finish, and that I think the Cardinals will come out of the Central again just because they still have a solid rotation, and they still have hitters. They still have Matt Holliday in there, so they're going to have offense, and the rest of that division, the Central isn't that tough a division outside of
the Brewers and
the Cardinals. So my World Series, I'm going to have the Atlanta Braves and the Boston Red Sox playing for the World Series this year.
What a shocker there.
Don't cut me some slack. But here, I will say, I think this year, I think the Braves get it done, and I think they were my surprise World Series champion last year, and I'm going to pick them again. I'm going to stick to the Braves, and I think they win the World Series this year.
I'm going to disagree with you. I don't actually have any of your teams even in the World Series. I think the Tigers win the AL, the Phillies win the NL, because pitching wins championships. And you look at those two teams, their pitching staffs are both great. Obviously, the Tigers have the best pitcher in baseball in Justin Verlander. The Phillies have three guys that could be aces on most staffs. I mean, you look at those teams face off. I think Justin Verlander and the Tigers come out on top with Prince Fielder. I think their offense is probably almost as good as the Phillies, and I think it's the AL's year. I think the Tigers beat the Phillies in the World Series. I guess you disagree.
That's all I can say.
I guess you disagree.
May I butt in real quick? What about Cincinnati in the NL Central? I think their lineup is just as dangerous as anybody.
I thought Cincinnati would have a shot last year, and they just completely didn't show up. The biggest surprise, if anybody's going to make a surprise out of the Central, in my opinion, I think it's going to be the Pirates. If A.J. Burnett can finally get it figured out.
That's a big if.
I think
very big if.
Daniel McCutchen, though, I think he's a pitcher on the rise.
Yes, he's very good.
He's an Oklahoma guy.
Absolutely.
And so I think the Pirates would actually be my surprise out of that division.
Good pick.
I think the Pirates are still a ways away, though.
Maybe. Anyway, DJ, what do we got next?
All right. Let's see. Which Major League team made the best offseason move for their team? The Angels acquiring Albert Pujols, the Tigers getting Prince Fielder, or the Rangers signing Yu Darvish?
Bob, go ahead.
I'm going to start off with this. I took it a little bit differently. I just graded each of the signings, and I pretty much think this one's almost a no-brainer. You sign the best player in baseball, you're going to get an A++ for that move. Obviously, the Angels weren't very far away from winning the West to begin with, or making the playoffs to begin with. They just needed that one more guy in the lineup that could make a difference. Their offense wasn't quite up to snuff.
I agree with you there real quick, but I'm going to say that I think the Angels in that contract, I think they locked down a little something, a little more than I wish they would have done. I think what's his contract is what? 6 years?
I think maybe.
So 6 years with like an option for like another 3?
Something like that.
It's ridiculous. I think that's a little too much for Albert Pujols, especially this late, because we don't know how old he is. But anyway, go on.
You don't know how old he is. But I think that they get an A++ for their move. Also, they also went out and signed C.J. Wilson to be a second guy behind Jared Weaver in that rotation. The Tigers get an A+ for their move as well. They lose Victor Martinez to an ACL tear. He won't be back this year. But they go out and sign the second best player on the free agent market, Prince Fielder. They pretty much came out of left field. No one really expected him to even really be able to sign Prince Fielder, but they signed him. He's going to be playing in a Tigers uniform. He's playing with Justin Verlander now. Obviously, the Tigers are going to be very good now. They get an A+ for that move, I would give them.
Yeah.
The Rangers, I'm going to give them a C- for signing Yu Darvish. They spent $51.7 million just to even get into contract negotiations with him. Then they paid him 6-year deal worth $56 million, almost $10 million. Or no, it's $56 million guaranteed.
A lot of people think he's going to be the next Daisuke.
Well, right. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. You pay $100 million to talk to a guy and sign him, and he's never proven himself in the major leagues, never done anything. I give that a C- to a D, honestly. I don't think that's a very good move. I think at most he might be a second pitcher in the rotation.
I don't know enough about the Rangers and signing Yu Darvish. Like you said, he's unproven, so I'm not really going to grade it until I see him actually play. Japanese pitching style and American pitching style is so different. In Japan, you pitch all 9 innings.
Right.
And so I worry about Darvish coming over, and he's going to have to change his style, and I worry about him getting plagued by injury over here.
Right. Absolutely.
But that being said, you don't pitch as much in America in the Major League Baseball. I'm going to go ahead and say, I already touched on Albert Pujols and how I feel about that contract, but I feel that the Prince Fielder trade to the Tigers will be enough, and I've got Detroit making the ALCS anyways, and I'm not going to be surprised if they wind up beating the Sox. The only reason why I said the Sox is because I think they're going to be blood hungry, as well as the Braves, and so that's what I'm just speaking just from the collapse last year. But I think that Prince Fielder replacing Victor Martinez, losing Victor Martinez was just a huge blow, and Jim Leland the other day was on Baseball Tonight, and he was talking about how when they found out that Victor Martinez was out for the year with an ACL injury, that clubhouse was devastated. And then
he's a great clubhouse guy.
I know he's a great clubhouse guy. And then when he comes around and he says, this has never been done before, we've never seen something like this, where we just picked up 10 days later, we get someone like Prince Fielder. We get him and we put him into our organization. That's huge. Now, if those two were together, there was no doubt in my mind that offensively the Tigers would be the best team in Major League Baseball. That being said, I think he's still a little more of an upgrade.
Where would you put those two players? Would you move Prince to DH, or would you put Victor Martinez in DH? Because Prince probably doesn't want to DH. He probably wants to be one of those everyday player guys.
I'd still put him out. I'd still put him in the designated hitter spot. But that being said, I think losing Victor Martinez, they still get a little bit of an upgrade with having Prince Fielder.
Offensively, absolutely get an upgrade.
But it still hurts. So having him in place of Victor Martinez is going to be key to the success of the Tigers this season. Well, anyway, Bob,
I think we went a little bit over time there, but that's okay. Very interesting stuff. Great debate we just had. unfortunately, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, though, we'll be talking about the Ryan Braun, a little bit of high school, and, of course, high heat is on the way. DJ, are those questions ready to go?
You know I'm ready. Are you ready?
Oh,
we're always ready.
bring it on.
Get ready.
And, of course, we'll be joined by Jim Dickerson.
The Heartland Classic,
of
yeah.
the Heartland Classic.
A lot coming up here on In the Dugout. Stay tuned.
It's no coincidence the Toyota Tundra has received the most dependable large pickup award from J.D. Power and Associates. Not once, not twice, but 6 years in a row. Now that's a statement no other truck can make. The full-size Tundra from Toyota.
Welcome back to In the Dugout. I'm Trevor Rogers, joined by Bobby Rose. Bob, you still doing good after that demoralizing butt kicking that I just handed you in that first round?
I don't know if I would call it a thrashing. I mean, I won the debate. So, I mean, obviously, let's let DJ decide here by answering a couple more questions. DJ, what's up next?
Next we have is Edmond Santa Fe is 19th ranked in the high school team, according to Baseball America, followed by Jenks at 32. Let's see. Well, one of the top-ranked teams in the state, according to Baseball America, walk away with the state title.
I'll let you answer this one first, Trevor.
No, absolutely not. I think Baseball America, for the first time in my life, I'm going against the divinity that is Baseball America.
Great source.
It is a fantastic source, and I'm just going to say, when I talked to Lonnie Cobble at the beginning, at the beginning of February, he told me that during the off-season meetings with all of the coaches, everyone was talking about how Jenks was going to be the diamond in the rough this year. Still, maybe it's the fact that they're not giving the Jenks enough credit. I don't think they're... I've got them in the middle of the pack in my rankings in the state of Oklahoma.
Right, we had them at like 4 or 5.
Right, I don't think they're going to... I still think the team to beat is Owasso or Broken Arrow, because Owasso returns so many people. Broken Arrow returns a lot of people. They lost Archie Bradley and Dylan Bundy still. I think Edmond Santa Fe, logically, that makes more sense. I think with Ty Hensley and Dylan Umbro, Ty Hensley is expected to go anywhere from top 10 to top 20 in this year's MLB draft. The scout DJ and I were up there over the weekend.
It was really fun. I mentioned when I was watching the game with Trevor, that Santa Fe has a long way to go, but they do have the talent.
They do.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, obviously they lost a lot from last year's team, but I mean, you look at them, they have an elite Major League Baseball prospect who's going to go in the first round of the draft. I mean, the more I look at this Edmond Santa Fe team, obviously they're young. They've got a long way to go but there's a long time before the postseason. And I think the more I read about and the more I see this Edmond Santa Fe team, the more it screams to me that I think Edmond Santa Fe can win the state championship. Jenks, probably not so much. I think Owasso and Broken Arrow are still probably better than they are. But I really do think Edmond Santa Fe can win this state championship, and you can never put anything past Lonnie Cobble. He's an amazing coach. And if anyone can do it, he can. I want to say
that Santa Fe, even though Umbro didn't play, he's a catcher and he's a huge offensive threat. But Hensley went 2 for 4 against an Enid team that's decent. They're not great. They're a little down this year, and they were down 4-0 going into the 5th inning. And the scrimmages, you only play 5 innings. They were down 4-0. It took an amazing charge, and Hensley, like I said, he only went 2 for 4 on the night. Wound up sparking
only 500.
Wound up sparking a run for the Wolves to wind up coming back and tying that game and ending that game in the tie. And then even then they played Durant, and Durant is awful. They're a really bad 3A team out of Southern Oklahoma, and he went 0 for 2 against Durant.
Well, I mean, every player, you can't expect a player to get a hit every time he goes up to bat. I think you're setting your expectations a little too high there, Trevor.
Maybe, but I was expecting a little more against a pitching staff of that caliber, and it wasn't there. And I think that
every hitter has slumps.
Right. I think giving up 4 runs though. I mean, granted they pitched Byko, Edmond Santa Fe pitched Ty Byko at the beginning of the game, and he's a freshman, and so obviously they're going to have people to give up 4 runs, but still it was a little concerning. I was a little shocked.
Well, I mean, obviously they're going to have some early season dust. I mean, every team will. I mean, every team's going to struggle a little early in the season because they haven't had the practice.
Right.
Yeah, Trevor, ease off him. It's just preseason.
I'm critical. Well, whatever. Enough of this. Enough.
Yeah, let's move on here.
Alrighty. Should Ryan Braun have won his appeal, and what ramifications will ensue from him doing so?
Bob.
No, I don't think he should have won his. I don't think he should have won it. I mean, if you look at his defense, it was absolutely absurd, ludicrous. Because the sample set out an extra day, it was contaminated. Obviously, the levels went up because it set out like 1 or 2 extra days. That's ridiculous. I mean, if you look at all the experts have come out and said that if anything, it would have made the levels go down because of the rate of deterioration. But they said there was no way that it would have gotten contaminated the sample in any way. I mean, I think it's just a big loophole that now everyone's going to be able to utilize. I mean, obviously we know that it obviously wasn't technically an illegal substance. It probably will be. Major League Baseball will probably outlaw it very soon. But I mean, it's just, he shouldn't have won the appeal. He should still be serving the 50-game suspension. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, Trevor.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Ryan Braun, he's the first person to ever successfully appeal a suspension in Major League Baseball.
It came out of nowhere.
And it came out of nowhere, and he got off on a technicality, and everyone talks about how passionate his speech was and how adamant he believes that he is innocent here. I think he is digging himself a major hole here, and he's talking about
he's going to make Major League Baseball a very angry.
Oh yeah. Well, he's talking about filing legal action against the
Major League Baseball is looking to
do a countersuit.
To countersuit, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think he's gonna get in huge trouble for this. First off, he still has never admitted that he didn't do the substance. He still hasn't come out and said it. He said this was a technicality and something did this. He's hinted at there being foul play, but he's never said I did anything. Maybe that's strategy on his part, thinking that if I just avoid it,
right,
that the public won't think so. But he's getting torn up, and I had so much respect for Ryan Braun going into this. And a lot of people look at this. Well, his suspension was overturned. How will this affect his legacy? And people said it really won't. I disagree. I think in the
if it keeps going the way it's going to go, I think it will definitely affect his legacy.
Anybody that denies taking substance after being tested positive looks like a fool. I look at Mark McGwire, who clearly.
Barry Bonds.
Poppy.
Whoa. What Poppy did was proven that he was not on anything illegal, and it was an accident. Big Poppy was proven.
It was an accident. I think the homer is coming out in Trevor today.
Hold on. Yeah. I think I look at people, Roger Clemens being the biggest, and we still don't know what's going to happen to him. But I look at somebody like Andy Pettitte, and Andy Pettitte honed up to it, said, yes, I did it. And look at Andy Pettitte today. Look, how many people talk about when Andy Pettitte screwed up? No, a lot of people talk about how he had one of the best pitching careers that the Yankees have ever seen. So I look at him and I completely respect him. If Ryan Braun would have come out and said that yes, he messed up, then
it'd be a different story.
This would not tarnish his legacy like it is now. He's going to have that black blanket on it for the rest of his life.
Well, we're done with our written topics now. Coming up next, we're going to have High Heat. DJ, I'm sure you're ready for that.
I told you I was ready early. I'm only getting more excited.
I can't wait. Let's hype it up. I am... Trevor, I think we're going to beat DJ today. He's going to try and stump us. I don't think it's going to happen.
Bring it, DJ.
DJ, bring it as high a heat as you can.
It's coming up.
I want it to be like... the Wild Thing over here. I want DJ to bring it like the Wild Thing.
I do have the glasses.
He does.
Whatever.
We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break, obviously. And when we get back, DJ is going to try and stump us with his high heat questions.
I'm Roy Williams.
I'm Charles Howell.
I'm Mark Clayton.
I'm Tommy Harris.
Curtis Lofton.
Gerald McCoy.
I'm Chris Chamberlain.
What's your fate?
What's your fate?
In life, you have choices, decisions. Then after your decisions, you have consequences.
You have to step up and choose to be different. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? What is your fate?
What's your fate?
What's your fate?
What's your fate?
What's your fate?
Welcome back to In the Dugout. Well, we sure need a break after that. Still, this demoralizing thrashing that I'm still giving you.
I don't think so, Trevor.
Either way, DJ,
Getting a little full of yourself over there in that other chair.
Whatever. DJ, it's time for High Heat. Bring it.
I hope you guys are ready because it's coming up and in today. Up and in.
I love the chin music.
Okay, well, get ready for it. Question number 1. Was USA's win over Italy the best win in U.S. soccer history?
Talking about soccer on a baseball show.
Hey, he said he was going to have some weird stuff, and I give it to him.
Well, that was interesting. I was at work, didn't get to watch much of the game. Obviously, it was a pretty good win. Italy's always pretty good. But still, I mean, it was kind of like a warm-up for the FIFA World Cup. Let's win the World Cup, and then we'll talk about be a really important win.
I'm going to say it's the second greatest win in U.S. soccer history. I'm going to say the U.S. upsetting Spain in the Confederation Cup.
That was a big win.
Was a huge win, and that was when they had
that Spain team is loaded.
Spain had Cristiano Ronaldo on that team. But I will say that this is a significant win because the U.S.'s all-time leading scorer, Landon Donovan, did not play. So Clint Dempsey had to step up, and boy, did he do it, scoring the only game-winning goal at the 68-minute mark, and it was a huge upset. I think it was an awesome win. First time in 86 years of play that the U.S. has ever beaten Italy. Italy may not have their stars, and Italy lost out. Italy completely. They were done after pool play in the FIFA World Cup in South Africa a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But no. A huge win. Good, definitely good for U.S. soccer to get some respect.
Like I said, I didn't get to really watch the game. I was at work, so I can't really tell you how important of a win it was. I guess you got me on that one, DJ.
I'd have to agree with Trevor. The Confederation Cup win over Spain was probably more significant due to the fact that both teams were really competitive. It was actually a tournament setting, so I'll agree with Trevor on that one. All right, question number 2. Your thoughts on the Sports Illustrated article over UCLA?
I think the UCLA is really, really hurting. What was it the other day? The head coach, George Dorman, George Dorman wrote, head coach Ben Holland, Dorman wrote the article in Sports Illustrated, came in and he said, this is a dark day for UCLA athletics. I think that I think what Dorman uncovered with UCLA, it really, really, really hurts. And Howland has come back and said that I'm angry at these allegations. That you can't cast this doubt onto the team about how great UCLA athletics are. So there's been mistakes made by UCLA. I agree with the article. I thought it was a well-written article, and I was somewhat shocked to see what came out. I think UCLA it's time for a change.
I completely agree. I think the first few years under Ben Howland were excellent because he had players like Russell Westbrook, Darren Collison, Kevin Love, all those types of players. And with those players, you're going to win because you have that much talent. Talent will get you to a certain point. I think Ben Howland's a lot like Scott Drew. I think he can recruit pretty well. Isn't a very good coach. Can't coach at all. I mean, because he's had very talented teams down there at UCLA and just can't seem to get a win. I pretty well agree with the article, and I think Ben Howland probably does need to be, probably should be done.
Right. DJ, let's do one more.
One more?
Yeah, and then we'll go to break.
Okay. Well, the calendar has changed, and it is now March. It's time for the March Madness Insomnia. Final Four predictions.
That's a very tough one. This year, I think more than most years, there's not a lot of teams that are really, really good. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that can get knocked off this year. I think if there's any year where a 16 seed could knock off a 1 seed, I think this year might be the year. That being said, my Final Four is going to be the Kentucky Wildcats, who I probably think will win the national championship. I think him down there, he might actually win. I think they might actually get one because their front court is incredible with Kid Gilchrist and I can't remember the other kid's name, but those two are both lottery picks. Then I'll probably as well take North Carolina. I think their talent is just too high. I like Kansas. I do like Kansas. I think they're coming together at a very good time. They won the Big 12 for the 8th straight time. I think they're coming together and finally showing what they can be. I think this is maybe the best coaching job Bill Self has ever done. And then for the 4th team, God, that's a hard one. I don't think Baylor can do it because I don't think Scott Drew can coach them there. Missouri's probably not quite talented enough. It's like I said, that 4th team could be anyone. Michigan State, maybe, because I mean,
Michigan State lost at Indiana the other day, and apparently Indiana.
But you know how good of a coach Tom Izzo is.
Tom Izzo is a great coach. I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to have Kentucky in my Final Four, even though I think John Calipari is the most overrated coach in the country. I think he's a fantastic recruiter, but I think when it comes down to crunch time, I just don't think he's there. I think he's a great recruiter, and he gets a lot of one-and-dones. He gets the guys that are going to go into the NBA. So how much coaching do you really need to have when you've got the talent that he has? And I'm speaking off of how...
Well, but I mean, if you look at Scott Drew, I mean, obviously, you can have those types of talents and not get the team to play well for you, but he at least gets the team to play well.
But at the championship level, I think about how he completely blew the national championship against Kansas a couple of years ago.
I think that was more Derrick Rose than John Calipari. It was Derrick Rose's inability to make free throws.
That still shouldn't.
And Mario Chalmers' ability to make a clutch three.
I've got North Carolina, and then I'll probably take Michigan State to make the Final Four. And then it's a toss-up between Kansas or Missouri because they're both so spotty, and I think that Kansas-Missouri game last weekend was fantastic.
I think Missouri's inside play.
I think the coaching that Bill Self has done this year at Kansas has been the best that I've seen.
If he doesn't win Coach of the Year this year,
he should win Coach of the Year.
It's pretty much
saying that Missouri isn't talented. I think Missouri is the more talented team. I just think the coaching has been a better job on Bill Self's behalf.
I don't think there's pros on that Missouri roster. I think there's more pros on the Kansas roster. I mean, heck, Jeff Withey might even make the pros at the rate he's going with the improvement we've seen out of him this year.
Anyway. Coming up in the dugout, we're going to take a quick break here. Enough of that. DJ, what do you got? Who would you say the winner was today?
Personally, I'd have to give it to Trevor.
2-1, baby.
2-1.
2-1. I think that there's been some biased stuff going on here.
It hurts me to give. I'm not a Boston Red Sox fan, but what Trevor, his points were very on point, and I'd have to give it to him based on that.
2-1, baby. Anyway, coming up on In the Dugout,
2-2 next week.
We're going to have Jim Dickerson, director of the Heartland Classic, and then we'll give a quick follow-up, wrap-up right after that with DJ giving us his thoughts. Stay tuned here on In the Dugout.
It's no coincidence the Toyota Tundra has received the most dependable large pickup award from J.D. Power and Associates. Not once, not twice, but 6 years in a row. Now that's a statement no other truck can make. The full-size Tundra from Toyota.
Welcome back to In the Dugout. I'm Trevor Rogers, joined by Bobby Rhodes. Today we have a special guest joining us. His name is Jim Dickerson. He is the tournament director for the Heartland Classic, and it's been a tournament that's been great for the Norman community. Jim, thank you very much for being on today.
My pleasure.
Well, we want to ask you real quick, what is this, tell us a little bit about the Heartland Classic and, like what this tournament features, if people aren't familiar with it.
Well, the Heartland Classic, we took it on in 2003. It was known as the Sun Belt Classic. They were looking for a place to have the tournament, and we in Norman decided to take it on, and we've been real proud of how it's turned out. We've done real well with it. In 2010, we changed from the Sun Belt to the Heartland Baseball Classic. We have 8 teams in the tournament: Arizona, Arkansas, Colorado, Georgia, Maryland, Ohio, Oklahoma, and Texas. The tournament will be held at Norman High, Norman North, and South Moore High Schools. The coaches love coming to Norman from the other states. They like our tournament. They like the hospitality. They like one of the big things is our host families. They love the kids, bringing the kids here, have them to mix with our local families, which of course is the key to our tournament. Without host families, we really can't, we couldn't survive. We've had several families, we've got several families, as a matter of fact, that have been with us since day one. They've been with us since the tournament started, and I would love for you all to be able to talk to them and tell you some of their experiences and all the good times they've had with the boys. It is really an experience for people who have done it. I mean, it's a great thing. The players intertwine with the families, the kids. I mean, it's quite an event right there. We have quite now, we're pretty well set on host families. We probably still like about maybe 10 or 12 host families. If anybody's interested in doing that, they can call me, Jim Dickerson, at 321-2878.
The host families are definitely key to this tournament.
Right, absolutely. But talking about those players, obviously some very big-name Major League players have come through this tournament, whether it be the Sun Belt or the Heartland Classic. Just tell us a little bit about some of those guys that have come through the tournament and have gone on to do great things in the major leagues.
Well, yeah, Mickey Tettleton right here from Norman, he was one. John Russell played in it. He played for the Rangers, caught one of Nolan Ryan's no-hitters, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
He was a Norman High School boy. One of our board of directors, as a matter of fact, was his coach, Terry Fisher. And we've had Johnny Damon played in the Sun Belt. Randy Johnson, the big left-hander, he played in the Sun Belt. Right now, Eric, goodness, what's his last name?
Eric Fryer?
Yeah, Eric Fryer played. He's now catching for the Pirates.
Yes, he is. From Team Ohio a few years ago.
Yes, matter of fact, I think you all kept him.
Yeah, we did. I've been hosted players before with this tournament.
Yes, and that's an experience right there. It's a great experience. Like I say, if anybody's interested in doing that, please give me a call. We're still, maybe 8, 10 families away from having everybody housed this year. Of course, the main function, if I may tell you, Trevor, of the host families, in case anybody out there is interested, is to just take at least two players, as many as you want, but take at least 2, and just kind of make them members of your family for the duration of the tournament.
It's an awesome experience. We had the opportunity to do that a few years ago, and let me tell you, the relationship you build with those players in a week, it goes on through the rest of your life, and we still have a relationship with some of those players that we've had today.
You're totally right, Trevor. You're totally right. Our tournament this year starts on Monday, June the 18th, with our home run derby. That'll be held at Southmore High School this year, and then the tournament starts Tuesday the 19th and runs through Saturday the 23rd. The Sooner Ed's Hotel will be the headquarters for the tournament. The coaches will stay there, so they will be very easy for, anybody, host families or anybody to contact if they need to contact them for anything. They've been with us since day one. They've been an excellent host for our tournament. People really like coming to Norman for this tournament. The coaches will tell you they love coming here just for the reasons I spoke of, the hospitality, the competition, and they like I get back from the host family, they think it's a great experience for the boys, which it is. And, we want to continue this as long as we possibly can, this tournament. But the key to it, of course, is the host families. And we're having, really good luck this year. Like I say, most of the families have been with us since day one. So that ought to tell people out there something about how much they enjoy this right here.
Jim, we're just going to have to ask you one more quick question before we go here. Right. We gotta go to break here in a second. But what is this tournament? You've talked about the people that come into this tournament. What is the community and what is Norman? How do they feel about this tournament?
Well, they like the tournament. We don't draw the crowds we'd like to, but there's so much going on in this town, of course, during this time of year with Little League Baseball and soccer and so on. But the people who have been involved in it love it. They really like it. They enjoy it so much. That's why they keep coming back and wanting to know what we're going to do next year, if we're going to do it next year. Overall, I think it's received very well in this town. We've had support from a lot of the car dealers who will loan us cars for the coaches, and overall, Trevor, I think it's received very well.
Well, thank you very much for being on today. We really appreciate it. Just a reminder, folks, that zpreps.com will be we'll have coverage of the Heartland Classic starting off in June. We'll have complete and total coverage. We look forward to being out there with you guys, and we'll be out there. Yeah, in-depth analysis. We look forward to working with you guys.
Well, we look forward to you all being here. We think this is a very big plus for our tournament right here.
Well, Jim, thank you very much. We'll definitely have you on again as we get closer to the tournament.
Anytime. Thank you so much for calling.
All right, thank you. All right, guys, that's going to just about wrap it up for the show today. But, DJ, real quick, what do you got? What's your final thoughts?
Final thoughts, make sure you tune in next week as we will be having OU softball coach Patty Gasso. She'll be discussing.
Right, Patty Gasso will be on next week.
Big guest. Yeah.
Important.
She'll be discussing a tournament that OU will be hosting. Other than that, that's all I have. Anything for you guys?
No, it's just, I think, good show overall today. Got a lot of good debate and talking, and folks, I just hope you're prepared for it, because that's how it's going to be from here on out. It's going to be fast-paced.
We changed up the format a little bit. I like it. Obviously, we might have to work on the time a little bit, running a little bit over, but that being said, I like the change. It was a change for the better, one that needed to be made. And we'll be back next week with the same type of format. I hope we got DJ involved enough.
Oh, plenty.
Maybe a little too much, I guess, from that tone. Yeah, we'll be back next week. You've been watching In the Dugout. Thanks for joining us, guys.
I'm Roy Williams.
I'm Charles Howell.
I'm Mark Clayton.
I'm Tommy Harris.
Curtis Lofton.
Gerald McCoy.
I'm Chris Chamberlain.
What's your fate?
What's your fate?
In life, you have choices, decisions. Then after your decisions, you have consequences.
You have to step up and choose to be different. What do you want to do? What do you want to be?
What is your fate?
What's your fate?
What's your fate?
What's your fate?
What's your fate?
I'm Roy Williams.
I'm Charles Howell.
I'm Mark Clayton.
I'm Tommy Harris.
Curtis Lofton.
Gerald McCoy.
I'm Chris Chamberlain.
What's your fate? What's
Your fate?
In life, you have choices, decisions. Then after your decisions, you have consequences.
You have to step up and choose to be different. What do you want to do? What do you want to be?
What is your fate?
What's your fate?
What's your fate?
What's your fate?
What's your fate?